Well, that's been an interesting little while getting this sorted. I finally worked out what the problem was, and the problem was me. I'd done the original and initial setup on this when I'd taken it out of the mill, which was over a week ago, and I put it in here and got it set up, but I hadn't completed the setup. I hadn't finished tightening it all down. So although that was done up, it was not tightened fully, and in trying to do the cuts it had loosened that off, and the whole thing sort of, as you noticed, fell apart. Thankfully I'm not far into the thread cutting, and the whole thing pushed away, and it hasn't done any damage that I can see to the threads I was cutting. How I got away with that I shall never know. But I also need to make a small change once I've done this, and I'm going to cut these threads a bit deeper. And the reason is that this is not 5/8, this is 16 mil, which is 0.22 millimeters bigger than 5/8 needs to be. So I'll need to take that off there once I've finished, so I need to cut it deeper to start with. So I'm going to go away and grab the calculator and work out what that is in thou in a minute. But I've also noticed that this is running very slightly out at the moment, so I'm just going to set up DRO and recheck that this is running concentrically. So I've still got plenty to do on here, so if it's not, that's not going to be a major issue. I'm not going to be altering the position of anything. Literally, I'm just going to double check that this is running where it needs to be. So I spent a bit of time last night getting this set up again, and making sure that this is running along and it is in line with the existing threads. And I've checked it and it is. And I've done a couple of quick passes down there, and you may also notice that the travelling steady's been taken off. That is a really nice one. It's got ball bearings on it, but it doesn't like doing this job, and I think that was getting quite a lot of the vibration. So I dropped the speed right down, and I'm going to try taking the passes at a much lower speed. That seemed to go along without getting the vibration I was getting with the travelling steady at higher speed. Does mean it's a lot slower to do, but there you go. Right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put a steady on that end. So I'm looking at an upside down tool tends to throw your brain, and it looked wrong. Then I suddenly realised, because I'm looking at it as though it was a tool the right way round and not upside down. Right, so I'm going to move this down there. I'll get a dial gauge set up and just check. I'll bring you back once I've done that, because you've all seen how to set up a dial gauge, so that will be nothing new to anybody. I'll be back with you shortly. taking very light cuts with this. Let's just stop this for a moment. I'll go over here. Right, let's see where we go with this. Remember to take in reverse. It's very embarrassing when you put it into forward gear rather than reverse gear. Help if I actually put the cut on, mightn't it? Why didn't anyone tell me? So I am taking this slowly at this end. I should be able to just put my hand on this and let it drop in. But I find if I get the timing wrong, it doesn't quite go in and then goes part way and makes a real mess. So I'm just trying to take it as easy as I can. Right, 52 thou to go. That's going to be a lot of cuts because it's really taking light cuts here. I'll bring you back a bit later on. We're coming down to the last few cuts here. So we've got 14 thou to go, plus I want to take out another 6. So 14 thou down to nominal size. I'm going to take another 6 out, and then I've got to try and look to skim this to take an extra 6 thou off the OD. So that'll be fun. Right. And it's currently 25 past 5 in the morning. What the hell am I doing out here at this time? So this is rather a slow job, but I can't afford to completely screw it up. I've tried hard, Usually what I'll do is once I get to the end of this, I'll run a number of spring cuts through at slightly higher speed. Right, I've taken the speed up, 235 RPM. Have a quick run over that with the bike. Right, so what I'm going to do here, I'm going to try something a bit stupid, probably. I need to take 5 thou off of that. This is starting to, because this is a full form tool, it's starting to touch on the top. So I need to take the top down a little bit. brilliant. That bit is fine. So I'm getting a little bit of cattle right in the middle there, which I could do without having. 0.7856. Okay, that's 2 thou under now, which is exactly where I want it to be. And it's now nearly time to get the children up, so I'm going to have to call a halt for the moment. I'm going to take this off. I'll swap that back to the screw cutting tool. Nice and tight. Let's take that in. And we'll chop that down again. Let's go back to 235. Give that a run through. Remember to go in reverse, John. Right, I'm going to do my last, hopefully last cut here. Well, it will be my last cut. And I'm going to up the speed. Out to 320. Just make sure I've got some oil on here. Okay. Now I'm running at 425 RPM. Just taking the spring cuts. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take that down a shade. I'm just going to go across this with the pressure's feeling quite nice, a bit of emery on that, we'll take that down. And those threads look quite nice. What I will do, try and find a way of getting my thread depths checked, but I don't need to do that now. I'll do that when I'm making the next bit, which is the tap. So that's going to be the next piece. I've got some tool steel, silver steel we call it here. Over there it's 5/8, so I'll get that, screw cut that down to the same depth as this, plus a little bit, and then that'll be my tap. I'll do that next. Okay, here we are. This is a new feed screw, hopefully it fits. I haven't got a clue. So we've got the splines up here, then you've got 11.5 inches of 10 TPI feed screw, then you've got a reduced portion, then you've got a 0.483 inch section there, 0.6 there, and that is where the thrust bearings sit against. So that's all done to size, but I'm not going to stick that in. I'm going to make a new nut for it, or pair of nuts, because there are 2 of them. So the next thing is to make a 5/8 tap